Hello everyone, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Tsukihime, a piece of blue glass moon. So last episode it was another adventure with CL yet again, and also Shiki revealed his abilities to CL last time. So anyways, let us continue. Let's see what happens today.
あらかじめ言っておくと、俺は嘘は言っていない。
So right now I think we're gonna meet with Arcade.
吸血鬼探しはしているが、一人ではないのである。
The park is dark and deserted. My flimsy excuse, aimed at no one in particular, disappears into the night.
何か言ったシキ？
いや、別に。アルクエイドには関係のないことだ。気にしないでくれ。
Besides, as far as promises go, I made a promise to Arcade first. I silently make a sincere apology to CL. My only defense is to argue that these are two separate matters.
よし、吸血鬼探しを始めよう。今夜はどこに行くんだ？
So CL got angry because we were with Arcade, right? And now we are going out with Arcade again.
今夜は特に当たりをつけている場所はないわ。街を歩いて死者を見つけるぐらい。あなたの目なら生きている人間と死んでいる人間、一目で判別がつくから。ちょっときついだろうけど、できる？シキ。
Arcade is telling me to take off my glasses and walk around town. I get nauseous when I take my glasses off, even when there's no one around, so it'll be all the worse in the crowded city center. But all I can say is, or in response to that face, is leave it to me.
もちろん。協力するって、そういうことだろ。
ええ、頼りにしてるわ、パートナーさん。ああ、でも本当に辛くなったらすぐに休んでね。あなたの目は特別だから、大切に扱わないと。
Honestly, her eyes, man, whenever she's having this kind of look suspicious right now, at least in this route I'm in. At Arcade's command, we march toward the bustling downtown area. I feel a strange surge in motivation as I resolved to take off my glasses. First up is the shopping district. We need to find and eliminate as many vampires as we can. Because yes, in this route, Arcade is kinda... very different. And last time when we went out with her, like she was forcing Shiki to fight the other... the zombies, the dead apostles, right? And then she was just watching on the side because she wanted to. But in spite of my eagerness, we come up empty-handed. We go from a shopping district to the back alleys to the office district, then all the way to an abandoned factory without finding a single vampire. Everyone must be on high alert after hearing about Roa's death. Afraid of Arcade, they're holed up in the rooms wherever those might be. We won't be able to find them like this. But they can't stay hidden forever. If they don't eat, they'll turn back into corpses. One way or another, they'll have to take a risk if they want to survive. Will they come out of hiding first, or will we let up on the hunt first? This waiting game will likely continue for some time. It's a kind of anticlimactic, but it's better than there being more victims. And more than anything, this means I get to spend more time walking around town with Arcade. This dude, man.
今夜は完全に無駄惚れだったな。緊張して損した。
He would like CL one moment, and then he would like Arcade the next. Like nothing. I sit down on a bench and wait for my lingering headache to pass. The night air is cold. It feels like every breath I take freezes the toxins that are making my head pound. My dizziness and nausea slowly start to subside.
そうね。 でも私は楽しかったわ。シキは相変わらず文句ばっかりだったけど、無駄なことがこんなに面白いなんて知らなかった。その点は空気を読んだ人たちに感謝ね。お礼に、出会った時は容赦なく粉々にしてあげる。
Despite that disturbing declaration, Arcoade is in a good mood. She's spinning around in circles in front of me as I rest on the bench. What's up with her right now? She's like a kid who just stepped outside for the first time in her life. Or a prisoner who's finally gotten a taste of freedom after being locked away for years.
まあ、元気なことはいいことだけど。
While my mouth spouts off a sarcastic remark, my eyes can't help but follow Arcoade's form. I guess I can't deny it any longer. I care deeply for CL, but I am completely smitten by Arcoade. I think for Arcoade, yeah, because she's very pretty, that's why Shiki is like this to her. Just as I feel drawn to CL, I feel drawn to her too. I was obligated at first because I had killed her, but that excuse no longer applies. What a fool I am. Although I want to be useful to CL, I am infatuated with her mortal enemy, a vampire. There must be something wrong with me. Logically, I know that I should keep my distance from Arcoade, but this primal urge pulls me towards her otherworldly beauty. Ugh, and they remind us of that. Once, I even went so far as to give in to my lust and ruthlessly committed an unforgivable act. I shake my head to clear away the lingering images. The nausea is back, but that made me feel like myself again. It reminded me that I'm not worthy of spending time with Arcoade like this.
アルクエド、元気そうだけど体の調子はどうなんだ？お前、昨日くしゃみしていただろ。
風邪？免疫機能の低下による発熱のこと？そんなの引いてないよ。ねえ、どうしてそんなことを聞くの？もしかして私のことを心配してくれてる？
Arcoade bends over to look me in the eye.
別にそんなんじゃない。俺がやっちまった傷がちゃんと治ってるのか気になっただけだ。
She's so close, I feel drunk on her scent. I look away, self-conscious about lying to her.
式につけられた傷はそう簡単には完治しないわ。昨日のはそれとは別。多分身体機能を変えていたからじゃない？戦う時以外はあなたに合わせて人間寄りにしているから。は
あ？人間寄りってなんで？
さあ、なんででしょう。
Arcoade giggles as she skips away from me. She looks like a butterfly fluttering about.
ま、風邪のはずがないんだよな。吸血鬼は風邪をひかないって先輩も言ってたし。
Becoming more human sounds a bit pointless to me, if not outright dangerous, but as long as she's making a steady recovery, I am happy. Feeling relieved, I lift my face up to see.
先輩ってあの女のこと？
Arcoade is standing even closer to me than she was before, glaring into my soul.
なんだよいきなり。あの女って誰さ？
とぼけないで。あの女はあの女よ。ブローブと戦っていたあいつ。やっぱり昼間はあいつにまとわりつかれてるのね。
いや、そんなことは。
Is she jealous? I'm the one clinging to Ziel, but telling Arcoade Dad would spell a certain doom.
まあ、吸血鬼のことを教えてくれたのは先輩だけど。いいじゃないか。先輩もお前もやってることは同じなんだから。ロアは倒したんだし、もう敵対する理由はないんだろ。
理由はなくても相入れないの、私たちは。いい？神祖であろうと使徒であろうと、吸血鬼にとって大公者は敵なの。 前にも話したでしょ？あいつらがどれだけ陰湿な奴らかって。
覚えてる。ちゃんと覚えてます。
She explains all this to me at the hotel, an organization formed for the sole purpose of exterminating vampires. Hunters of heretics who execute the Lord's techniques, or teachings, in his holy name. The executors of the church, CL's true allegiance. The main reason that the apostles operate in secret is because they are afraid of being discovered by them. Honestly, I want the game in, I guess, this series, this universe that we are with, yeah, I guess we'd say the church, right? I mean, like, fully is what I'm saying. Like, you actually are, like, going there.
吸血鬼の天敵だろ。夜の巡回だってもともとは先輩の仕事なんだろうし。
And for example, like learning more about the organization itself. Yeah, I would like that.
となると、お前はなんだ？吸血鬼界の裏切り者か？
それを言うなら、私は吸血鬼にとっての天罰よ。まあいいわ。代行者なんて虫みたいなものだし、連中がどんなに出てきても関係ない。でもあいつだけは別。
This has seriously gotten under Arcoade's skin. She can't even stand to say CL's name. I give up. I knew they didn't get along, but I had no idea it was this bad.
それで、あなたはどうなの？シキ。
え？
あいつをどう思っているのかってこと。私、シキのことは何だっていいんだけど、あいつだけはダメ。あなたの気持ちがあいつに向くだけで許せない。
Those crimson eyes begin to flare. Hold up. She looks like she's seriously ready to kill someone.
許せないってなんだよ。先輩は俺の学校の先輩だ。いつも世話になってるし、ブローブの時だって助けてくれた。アルクエイドだって先輩と一度話せば仲良く。
絶対にならない。私はあいつが嫌いだし、あいつも私を殺したがってるし。
Look at that eyes.
シキは騙されているだけよ。埋葬機関の人間はみんな好戦的で、隙あらば襲いかかってくるんだから。だいたいあなたは初めからあいつの正体を知っていたの？どうせいつも通り一般人のふりをしてあなたをからかっていたんじゃない？
That's true. CL did hide her identity from me. But she had her reasons, and the only way she can protect people is by keeping the existence of vampires a secret. Since vampires disguise themselves as humans, revealing her identity would alert them of the executor's presence. Besides, CL is still CL, knowing the truth hasn't changed that. Having a lunch with her, laughing about pointless nonsense with Arihiko, spending time together in the tea ceremony room, it was all so much fun. If such a thing were possible, I might have been better off never knowing CL's identity.
そう。シキ、あなた、あの女と私、どっちの味方？
Her tone is openly hostile. It seems that CL is an enemy that Arcuade will never embrace. That's why she glares at me, or is glaring at me so fiercely. Anyone who sides with her enemy, even Shikitono himself, is her enemy too.
そんなことは絶対にないと思うけど、あの女に関わるのはやめて。万が一にも仲良くなんてなってたら、殺すから。
アルクエイド。
The words get stuck in my throat. Okay, let me save here. Like, I would always say that I like CL much more, but in this scene itself, maybe we'll choose this one. I have to admit that I'm more drawn to Arcuade. I think back to that rainy night. Arkawade was dead, murdered by my hand, and I was selfishly praying for death to take me. CL brought me back from the brink.
俺はあの人に命を救われた。
私だって何度も救ってるけど。
I think back to the fight with Vlov. CL fought alone in that frozen wasteland for a cause she stood to gain nothing from.
この町を守ってくれた。
私だってめっちゃ守ってますけど。
Okay. I think back to CL's smile at the curry shop. Wait, didn't we choose? Wait, what did we choose anyways? We choose the Arkawade one, right? But why are we looking at this? She said that she accepted me even if I'm scared, even if I'm lost.
私だってお昼ご飯ぐらいおごれますけど。
だー！ちょっと黙ってくれませんかね。
Could you shut up? Yes. We're having a moment here.
ってなんでランチのことわかるんだよ。
Oh yeah, how does she know about that?
ついに俺の考えまで読むようになったのか。
だって今一緒にカレーショップがどうとかつぶやいてたから。
Oh, he's actually saying it loudly? Damn, did I say that out loud?
何よ、はっきりしない式が悪いんじゃない。そんないかにもかっこいい独り言でごまかされないからね、私。
かっこいい独り言ってなんだバカ。お前が邪魔しなけりゃ今頃はっきり答えてたよ。
なら言えば聞いてあげる。
まったくいいか。先輩は大切な人だ。あの人がいなかったら俺はここにいなかった。
だけど
尊敬と好き嫌いは別の話だ。
Respecting someone is different from liking them.
敵味方の話をするなら俺はお前の方が何倍も放っておけない。
Okay, I understand. What did I just say? But I can't lie about how I feel. Even tonight, I withstood the pain of going without glasses just so I could walk around town with Arkawade.
何倍
She's shaking, look at
何
that.
倍も。
I don't know why, but just being with this woman makes me feel like my sins and fears are all erased. So much so that I have to consciously force myself not to wrap my arms around her right here and now. In other words, I just want her.
どうした何があった。
Arkawade hunches over, her back trembling like an excited cat, and then with a strange cry, she raises both hands in the air.
あいつのことは許せないけど、今の言葉だけで多めに見てあげましょう。
So now she's very happy because of this.
気持ちが弾けそうだから私帰るね。
帰るっていきなりか。というか明日もここで待ち合わせでいいんだな。
もちろん。式の言う通り、明日はもっともっと何倍も綺麗になって待ってるね。
いや何倍もってそういう意味じゃ。
My voice doesn't reach her in time. Arkawade has already leaped away in a flash.
綺麗って人間なんてどうでもいいんじゃなかったのかよ。
I can't even complain to her for not acting like a vampire this time, because that vampire's smile has made me blush so intensely that I have to cover my face.
いや今にも笑ってる場合じゃない。俺も帰らないと。
It's almost midnight. I have to return to the mansion while I still have the energy. That was a quite funny scene, I guess. Okay, what is this now? The iron rod is raised high and swung down in one fluid motion. At its end is a blade over 50 centimeters long. It has seen many years of use, and its once keen edge remains permanently blunt. Weighing in at 1 metric ton, gravity is all it takes to propel it downward. The dull blade crushes the skull of its panic-stricken prey with its immense weight. The force with which it turns bone to powder is something to behold.
何？
A natural response, the sight is enough to horrify anyone. They cannot comprehend what is happening. They cannot comprehend what has just happened. This is a safe zone. This area is supposed to be free of danger. But this town is no longer safe for vampires. The true ancestor princess and the executors have seen to that. With both on the prowl, they are steadily running out of places to run. Faced with their imminent doom, the vampires are offered a deal. If they met certain conditions, they would be allowed to escape. So, with their guards let down, they gathered here to accept the offer.
あれ？みんな反応悪いんじゃない？
So it's Miss Noel.
ここは雲の子みたいに逃げ回るところでしょ？
A massive weapon in hand, the woman in nun's clothing tilts her head confusedly. She sees 13 faces around her. Each one belongs to a pathetic fugitive vampire come to beg for their life.
14人もいるから広い場所にしてあげたのに。これじゃあちょっと拍子抜けかな。
The nun sighs, hanging her head in disappointment. The turnout is decent for a story she made up on the fly. This would never happen back in her home country, even given a month to drum up anticipation. Only 2 or 3 at most would take the bait. But there are as many as 14 here. The layout of the city, coupled with how gullible people are in this country, made it laughably easy.
おっと、今1匹潰れたからあと13匹よね。弦が悪いからもう1匹潰しておこっか。
She swings her 2-meter-long murder weapon. The halberd meets no resistance as it sinks into the head of its next victim, splattering it like a rotting pumpkin. Human-like shrieks of despair fill the air. The men and the women gathered here are mostly in their early 20s. None of them had even seen the face of their blood-soaked companion, but they all received the message. The nun slowly steps forward, savoring every second of this spectacle.
あらあら、危機感のないいい子ちゃんばかりなのに、こういう時の反応はどこの国でも一緒なのね。真夜中の台所に集まったネズミみたい。電気がついた途端、我先にと逃げ出すんだけど、ほらかわいそう。こんな風にネズミ捕りに捕まってあっさり踏み潰されちゃうの。
Blood sprays into the air for the 3rd time this night. The menacing blade sets its sight on a nearby mark and comes swinging down on top of their head. This time, the impact is devastating and there is nothing left of the skull as it bursts open. The blade runs through the victim's neck to the center of their torso.
はーい、注目。これからお姉さんが害獣駆除をするわけだけど、変な勘違いされるとイラッとくるので、あらかじめ説明しておきますね。まずはこの大部屋。結界を張ったので、あなたたちは絶対に逃げられません。窓から出ると溶けるから注意してね。次に私、何があろうと一匹も見逃さないので、私に命乞いをしても意味はありません。最後にあなたたち、助けを呼ぶ自由だけはあるので、助かりたかったら私にではなく神様にお祈りしてください。本当に神様がいて、あなたたちにそれだけの価値があるのなら、奇跡が起きて逃げられるよう世界は作られているはずです。
The holy woman removes her halberd from her last victim and now nothing more than a pile of flesh. and thus the panic that has taken hold of the captives reaches its peak. They run in all directions trying to get away from the nun, but their legs are like lead. This place has already been warded against vampires. The ward has no effect on humans, but for low-ranking dead apostles, it feels like being trapped at the bottom of the ocean, unable to run, and their bodies grow slower by the second.
なんでステイガカ用意しただろう。なんで逆に殺されるんだよ。やめてやめて、頭をやめて、足もやめてよ。痛い、なんでこんなに痛いの。嘘、やめて、そこから引っ張られたら魚みたいに真っ二つになっちゃう。嘘ですよね先生。助けてくれるって、僕だけは助けてくれるって言ったじゃないですか。いい子にしていれば見逃してくれるって。
Okay, so what is even this? Are these actual people or what? Or vampires? The nun's smile does not waver. She raises her halberd, its blade dripping with blood, and brings it down in the skull of her next prey. Her breathing grows ragged. It's as if she is excited by the scream extracted by that blow.
早くドア開けなさいよ。殺されるじゃない。もうクズがもたもたしてんじゃねえよ。あんな女外にさえ出れば簡単によ。
I mean, you can't go outside, it's a bounded field.
無理です。ドアに触ると指が溶けて、肘まで崩れちゃう。私溶けちゃってます。やめて、助けて神様、助け
て。祈ってたのに、ちゃんと神様に手を合わせて祈ってたじゃねえか。この人殺し、てめえのどこがシスターだ。
The nun sinks her blade into the back of the defenseless young man, eyes bloodshot. She stops just short of cutting out his spasming spine.
君、今妙なこと口走らなかった？人殺し？人殺しって何？あんたたちみたいな害獣を殺すことが人殺し？今まで散々人間を食い物にしてきたくせに、自分のことを人間と思ってたの？
Okay, so these are actual vampires. Okay. No, I got confused because yeah, they were talking like normally and they were running away. Oh my god. His screams utterly fill the room. The 5 remaining captives can do nothing but tremble as the horrific scene unfolds before them. The nun drops her weapon, then relentlessly begins to torture her fallen prey. First, she uses a sacrament to restore his sense of pain, and then she nails his eyelids open so he's forced to watch. She strips him naked and fillets him, exposing his innards. One by one, she cuts out his organs. With her black keys, the pain that assails him is enough to make him wish for death. After removing all of his organs, she saws off his ears and nose. Upon seeing his own mutilated body, "Kill me" is all he can think to say. For her final act, she cracks open his skull and fills it with holy water. The vampire holy water may as well be sulfuric acid. The brain shouldn't be able to feel pain, but the blessed liquid envelops her prey in agony, so complete that it transcends the senses, driving him mad. "Kill me," he says over and over again, a record player on repeat. The sister lets out a sigh that sounds out of place in this hell. She lifts her halberd with a grunt and destroys the endlessly looping phonograph.
失敗。あんまりにも面白いこと言われたから趣味に走っちゃった。安心してみんな。今ので満足しちゃったし、あなたたちは適当で済ませるから。 手抜き作業でごめんなさいね。
The nun flashes the group with a smile. It is the final straw. They go into a frenzy, shrieking as they pound against the walls, even as the bounded field melts away their hands and feet. They are begging for freedom from the depths of their beings.
やだやだやだやだ、お願い、殺さないで殺さないで殺さないでください、神様。
お願いしますお願いします、何でもします、何でもしますか、どうか私だけ帰る、今度こそちゃんとお家に帰るから助けてよ、お母さん、お母さん、お母さん、お母さん、待ってよ、私はまだ誰も食べてない。昨日こいつらに襲われてまだ吸血鬼にもなってないのに、まだ一つもいい目に遭ってないのに、こんなのってな。
One left. Perhaps tired from her efforts, the woman takes a moment to catch her breath. The sole survivor asks a question of the resting nun.
なんで俺たちだったんだ。
はい、
俺たちはただの雑兵だ。放っておいてもあと数日で餓死していた底辺の怪物だった。あんたみたいな掃除屋がわざわざ手を出す必要のないクズだ。なのにどうしてこんな、助けてやるなんて希望を持たせて殺しやがった。一人一人丁寧に散々怖がらせてさ、対向車ってのはもっと効率的で小物だけを狙うんじゃなかったのか。それでもお前は人間かよ。
The nun's eyes go wide at the vermin's unexpected rebuke. She is truly surprised, not by the fact that her prey is showing such incredible humanity.
あのね、弱い者が弱い者を襲うのは当たり前のことじゃないの。
But by the fact that it's asking her about something is so obvious to any human.
自分より強い相手なんかと戦うわけがないでしょ。
Okay.
私は弱いから、自分より弱い奴にしか手を出さない。これ、人間社会じゃなくて、生き物の一般常識よ。
So I guess for Miss Noel, she's cruel, but she is smart as well, right? She would not try to, for example, like Vlov. Remember when Vlov was fighting CL? She was just outside, like running around. Because yeah, that is way too strong for her. She wouldn't want to do anything with that. But with this ones, the weaker ones, she's having fun with them, and yeah, she's very scary like this.
じゃあお前が俺たちを集めたのは吸血鬼だからじゃなく。
そう、都合よくストレスをぶつけられる相手が欲しかっただけよ。そんなの見てわかりなさいよ。ああ、最悪。あなたたちって脳まで腐ってるのね。もしかしてクリームでも詰まってる？詰まってたのよね。そんな甘ったるい考えだから神様は助けてくれなかったのよ。
She delivers her final blow. The halberd slices through her prey's neck in one fell stroke, ending its life without suffering. Damn. Easy, I guess. Like, she would want to deal with small fry and have fun with it, is what I'm saying. That's scary. After cleaning the room of all trace of the 14 corpses she had scattered across it, the nun goes outside. Oh my god, and the excitement that coursed through her only moments ago has evaporated. She wears a dejected look on her face as she throws down her blood-stained halberd. With dead eyes, she lets out the air in her lungs. It is such a depressing sigh that it sounds like her soul is leaving her body.
雑魚どもをまとめて処理か。さすが下っ端。ドブさらいだけは慣れてるじゃねえか。
Father Mario. Hearing a voice behind her, the nun frantically arms herself. She is adept at picking off enemies weaker than her, but woefully inadequate when it comes to anything of equal or greater power. Her tendency is to handicap herself by imagining the worst case scenario, a habit that prevents her from deploying her true strength. Even now, the thoughts of the worst are already beginning to form in her mind. Though she has yet to see who the voice belongs to, the very thought of an unknown third party approaching is enough to chip away at her sanity.
ああ、あんだけの殺しをやっておいて何ぶるってやがる。落ち着けよメス豚。てめえにとっちゃ神に等しい上司様だっつの。
This kid, man, calm your tits.
司祭代行。
Relieved, the nun relaxes her shoulders and lowers her halberd. But the knot of the tension in her chest remains. She understands the danger that she is still in.
これは正当な討伐です。ロアをいぶり出すには、まず血液を集める兵隊を根絶する必要が。
知ってるよ。いちいち弁明すんな。初めっから見てたからな。スコアを報告しなくてもいい。だがまあ、ちょいとやりすぎだな。使徒どもに懺悔の機会なんぞを与えやがったのは見なかったことにする。代行者の殺し方はそれぞれだからな。問題は死体の数だ。中にはまだなりきれてない犠牲者もいたように見えたがね。
Also, one was actually human.
いいえ、あれは吸血鬼より始末が悪いものです。あの少女は人間であるにもかかわらず、自分から奴らに協力して犠牲者を増やしていましたから。当然の末路です。
That girl, is that Yumizuka? Come on, show her.
はあ、チキンなてめえにしちゃ冷徹な判断だ。吸血鬼に関わった人間は皆殺しってわけか。そいつは頼もしい。
何のご用でしょうか、司祭代行。
Honestly, I'm actually like tempted to like for example, like lower the volume for Yumizuka. So when for example she shows up but they don't show her face, we would know it's her. Like if the volume is very low, right? Let's put it like 10% and then a person starts talking and it's low, you would know it's her. But I don't think she's gonna show up anymore.
定期連絡はしていますし、私の単独行動は許可されているのではないのですか？
ああ、奇跡会と埋葬機関は別管轄だ。てめえがシエルの相棒である以上、俺たちは対等だった。
だったとは、どういうことでしょうか？
You're getting transferred.
代行者シエルはてめえとのコンビを解くとよ。できうる限り早くてめえを引き取れなんて言ってきやがった。なんで近いうちにてめえは俺の預かりだが、スコアも悪い、精神も不安定な不良物件を使うほど間抜けじゃねえ。この一件が終わり次第、てめえは修道院送りだ。今のうちに身辺整理をしておけよ。
The convent. But yeah, the music, man, it's kind of scary, I would say. Scary and beautiful at the same time. Yeah. An institution for the faithful who have chosen to lead a communal life under the teachings of the church, away from the secular world. Like, when you play like other games or TV shows, right? And then the setting is, let's say, medieval times. Yeah, whenever you see the church or something like that, it's always portrayed as scary. Because yeah, back then, the church would just burn people, right? It's much more worse back then, I mean, is what I'm saying. So, it's kind of scary. It reminds me of that whenever I hear like something like this. Just as the Holy See is the smallest country in the world, each convent operates as its own isolated little world. Once a nun takes her vows, she pledges to live out her life at the convent and become a member of the community. Separated from the outside world by a single wall, she lives as a child of the Father, abiding by the teachings of frugality, chastity, and obedience. It is a fine existence for those who seek it. However, for those who do not, being forced to live in the closed-off world of the convent is akin to torture. There is a reason that Noelle could not become anything but an executor. So it is as an executor that she would be re-educated if she were sent back to the convent. The brutal training she survived when she was younger is something she does not believe she can go through again. But worse than anything, being sent there would mean undergoing a full body examination. For executors, chastity is not determined by one's virginity, but the purity of their human body. So right now, that examination is something she has to avoid at all costs.
待ってください。私は常に最善を尽くしています。対向車として何の問題もありません。さももなく修道院送りなんて、そんな横暴は許されないはずです。
ああ、てめえみたいな凡人の最善なんて知らねえよ。いいか、ここは通勤時間のある事務職じゃねえ。殺し合いの最前線だ。無能なやつも無能じゃないだけの凡人も等しく足手まといなんだよ。有能なやつにしか居場所のない世界だっていい加減諦めとけ。夢見る年々じゃあるまいし、今年で何歳だよてめえは。
She quells the defiance that flares up inside her. A hatred far greater than that she felt during her cleanup earlier reared its head, but she pushed it back down with all her might. That boy is weaker than she is, and he's just some 12-year-old kid. She could turn him into mincemeat with a swing of her halberd. However, he has far too many connections, far too much power for her to defy him. So yeah, like consequences of this is, I mean, we don't even know how strong this kid is. Honestly, we haven't seen him fight, but if you do something to him, and let's say, for example, she killed him, right? Everyone is gonna go after you now. You're gonna have someone following you or trying to kill you your whole life. You wouldn't want that, even if she can do it, is what I'm saying. But yeah, if she ever wants to be better than the mediocre, she has no choice but to curry his favor.
ですが、代行者シエルだけには任せておけません。彼女の行動は不審極まります。ロア探索の手を止めているばかりか、私を切り捨てて一人になることに危ういものを感じます。司祭代行も彼女の経歴はご存知でしょ。彼女はキャーンズです。なら今拘束すべきは私ではなく。
What is how do you say it? Cons? Yeah, what is that?
あの女が吸血鬼もどきってことだろ。嫌っていうほど知ってるから安心しろ。いいんだよ、あの女はあれで。単独で動こうが上の意向に逆らおうが関係ねえ。何があろうとあいつはロアを殺す。そういう風にしか動けない女だからな。
In a rare moment, he drops his usual foul attitude and speaks maturely. The boy's voice rings faintly with resignation.
いいからてめえは荷物をまとめて待機してやがれ。2日もあれば辞令が届くからな。くだらねえ手間を増やさせるんじゃねえぞ。三下は何も考えず黙ってギーギー回ってればいいんだよ。
With one last tirade, the boy leaves the back alley. Only the blood-splattered nun remains. After making sure that the boy has indeed left, she picks up her weapon and swings it into the discarded steel beam with all her might.
何よあのガキ。
なのよ、言いたい放題。子供のくせに大人を舐めるんじゃないっての。
The clanging of metal does not come just once. She swings a total of 8 times, hurling curses not meant for human ears. The steel beam is completely crushed, now just a pitiful wreck, a sculpture perfectly portraying rage. The woman lets go the halberd, her shoulders heaving. She has overexerted herself, lacking the physical strength to lift her weapon on her own. She typically casts a sacrament each time she swings it to reduce its weight. But this time, she swung away with nothing but raw fury. She laughs dryly at this desperate, self-destructive act that may very well have snapped the muscles in her arms.
バカね。何やってるのよ、私。あの怪物じゃあるまいし、こんなでっかい自分の力だけで振り回せるはずないのに。
Still, her anger does not subside. The situation has changed. She knows she needs to stay calm and devise a counter move, but her heart refuses to cooperate. Then at this of all times, because it is time, a nightmarish spasm runs through her body. What is happening? She crumples as her insides assail her. She kneels on the ground, digging her fingers into the dirt as she clings on to her current self. Nausea comes over, accompanied by a terrifying chill that freezes her to the bone. Though she has never experienced it herself, she imagines this is what morning sickness must feel like, but the imaginary child in her womb is surely not human.
さないと。早く吸血鬼を殺さないと。私がダメになる前にロアを探し出して殺さないといけないのに。
Wait, is she turning into a vampire now?
あと2日。あと2日しかないの。
Vlov bit her though, so is that it? What is happening with her?
でも
A weak voice inside her posits that she might not even have that much time. Her back feels like it's about to split open. She puts a dirt-covered hand to her mouth to hold down whatever it is that threatens to burst out of her stomach.
大丈夫。神様は見てくれてる。私はいい子にしてたもの。きっと助けてもらえる。私は何も悪いことなんかしてない。だから。
I'll kill some more vampires tonight. I'll kill even more vampires tomorrow. That way I'll be saved, I'll find salvation. I'll find the revenge I've been chasing for 13 years.
そうよ、ノエル。私は代行者になった。このために強くなった。あんなガキにも、あんな女にも、思い通りになんかさせるもんか。
Still shivering from the cold, she forces herself back onto her feet. The nun picks up her halberd with brute strength and leaves the makeshift execution site, a twisted smile plastered on her face. So what is happening with her? What happens if she transforms? She becomes a dead apostle. That would be hilarious though, right? Because then they're gonna fight her now. It's 12 a.m. I slink back into my room in the middle of the night while everyone is sleeping. Sneaking out and back in is starting to feel more familiar. I change into my pajamas and crawl into my bed. Immediately, a drowsiness takes me. My brain must be tired after how much I've used my mystic eyes, even though I don't feel that bad physically. I take off my glasses, sat them next to my pillow, and closed my eyes.
あれ、何か考え事があった気がするんだけど。
I give in to sleep. An unpleasant floating sensation washes over me, but I manage to clamp down on it as I fall asleep and release my grip on consciousness.
なんだけど、もう、どうなってるんだ。
I tear my covers and get back out of bed. The leftover energy in my body is keeping me awake, while my mind is desperate for a respite, a slow feeling torture. There is nothing to do but go over to the sunroom. Hisu and Kohaku would notice if I turned on the lights in my room, but the light from the sunroom can only be seen from the outside. I'll just grab another book tonight and look at the words until I get sleepy. Another book? 1989 AD. I was born into this world, the child of a shopkeeper in the French countryside. With the East Asian features I inherited from my mother, I grew up feeling like a foreigner in my own town. Even so, the townspeople were amiable folk, always welcoming me with a smile to repay their kindness. I did my best to live my life positively and honestly. I helped my father, went to school, and dreamed about the future. As many children do, I struggled with puberty, which came early for me. But I never doubted that I was fortunate. I knew I was privileged within a rather charmed life. But time passed by so quickly, and suddenly my 12th birthday was upon me. Abruptly, a change came over me. Sometimes when playing with my friends, I would have this sudden desire to snap their slender necks. Sometimes when I saw a beggar at the side of the road, I might imagine stabbing their malnourished stomach for the fun of it. The impulses came without warning and followed with no pattern. I would unexpectedly find my head filled with violent thoughts. But just as I was about to act on them, I would remember my own name and run away with my face in my hands, holding back the scream in my throat and the tears in my eyes. I was healthy of body, sound, and mind, and held no hatred for anyone. Yet whenever I was faced with something within my power to destroy, I felt compelled to try, and I would find my face contorted with the joy at the idea. I became afraid of going outside, afraid of people, afraid of myself. I was terrified of the joy that swelled within me with every passing day. But I could tell no one about it. So I grew more reclusive day by day until I stopped leaving my room altogether. I kept my composure to the very end. Had I developed a split personality? Was I possessed by someone else's spirit? I never once entertained such unscientific notions. In the end, my conclusion was these were the same fleeting invasive thoughts that everyone shared. I might complain when my father came to wake me after I'd stayed up late the night before. I might get upset after being splashed with water by a passing car while I walked down the main street after heavy rainfall. These impulses were no different, small internal rebellions that momentarily took me over. But while perhaps other people could control them, I was never someone who could go against their own heart. I knew it was only a matter of time before I ended up doing something that I couldn't take back. All I could do was lock myself up in my room. I was dead set on living out my days doing nothing and meeting no one. That way I wouldn't have the chance to get angry about anything or build a resentment for anyone. So I thought, I should have feared myself less, trusted God more, and turned to a priest for advice. Hiding away in the prison I'd made of my room, wore away at my soul until eventually I reached a breaking point. That day, with myself fully transformed into someone else, an innocuous thought came to mind that I was thirsty. Wait, who is this now? Slowly, I dragged my weakened body out of my room. Huh? Who is this? My parents, who were relaxing in the living room, came to me as I emerged for the first time in the month. So this is still the story? My father greeted me, concerned in his voice. My mother smiled, tears welling in her eyes, and I killed them both. It was all too easy. My body was still weak and thirsty, but I had the strength to bite down on my parents' throats and drink and drink. After draining them both of blood and life, I stood up.
素晴らしい。この肉体は過去最高の才能だ。
An unfamiliar voice spoke in my tongue. The thing that was once me painted its mouth red and wrapped its own body in an embrace. What a providence was this? Typically, the vessels I reincarnate to are all chosen in advance. Oh, this is Roa, okay. This is Roa. First, they must possess authority in the land of their birth. Second, their family must possess some unique talent. The first condition is the more important, the second merely supplementary. My primary task is to find a family line fulfilling the first condition and set it as the destination of my next reincarnation. However, in my previous life, the princess killed me before I could make my decision. Instead, I was forced to abridge the process and rely on astrology to guide me. Which is how I ended up with this body belonging to a child of a middle-class family with low social standing. I knew it would be challenging to take control of the town under these circumstances, building influence in the few years I had before the princess found me next, or was next to impossible. But I did not despair. If anything, I felt euphoric, as if my body was brimming with light. When weighing lineage against talent, I had always chosen the former. As a consequence, my host had never physically excelled. But this time was different. This body possessed magic circuits in such abundance and quality that they could generate more magical energy than 100 mages. So the body was very strong. The person itself was not of influence, but they were strong. Even the most talented mages would be considered defective compared to this. I could only laugh at the miscalculation of my past generations. All these times, my conditions were backwards. Authority and influence can be acquired with time. However, a truly outstanding body is a gift one must be born with, by the grace of the Lord. It was not until my blank reincarnation that I finally realized this truth. After I awoke, I set about transforming the town into a necropolis as quietly and inevitably as water seeps through dry soil. I abandoned the disorderly methods I'd previously employed. This time, I proceeded gently, taking care not to spill too much blood at once. I was careful and methodical. Within a single night, the town was mine. From there, I painstakingly, lovingly built my castle from the ground up. I would not let a single human escape, but nor would I let them die unnecessarily. First, I neatly frosted the cake with despair, then little by little, sneering all the while, decorated it with jam and jelly and meat in resplendent fashion. It wasn't the most efficient process, but there was nothing that could be done about that. My reincarnated consciousness cannot exist on its own. I, myself, am nothing more than knowledge and drive. My personality is reconstructed for a new generation based on the character and values of my host. Though I have control over my vessel, its thought process and norms do not change entirely. In other words, my body belongs to my reincarnated self, but my original self remains. It retains its consciousness and memories, but it slumbers amidst a nightmare of its own creation from which it cannot wake. Which is why I remember the feeling of biting into my parents' throats. I remember the days I spent tormenting the souls of the townspeople who once smiled at me, slowly melting them one by one. All in all, it only took a week. In a week, I held the lives of everyone in this town in the palm of my hand, mine to play with for my own amusement. I wished to lose all reason, go insane, and yield everything to my impulses. But if I did, I knew that I would only commit even worse atrocities. I had to hold on. If I maintained my sanity, at least I could limit the harm I could do. Destruction is close at hand now. Not of the sound, but of something much greater. I find myself rejoicing that my magnum opus is coming to fruition. For this reason I have chased eternity. For this reason I have collected the blood of so many. For this reason others like myself, masters of far greater necropolies, have converged into this town. Before long my consciousness will flicker out. Tonight a world would end, but I would fade away before I could see it, cursed to the last. If this nightmare had one saving grace, it would be that its end came quickly. The pale woman arrived with a crimson moon. I don't know who she is, and yet I do. The sixth ritual begins. With this body, I believe it's possible that we'd finally have that woman in white, and then the profane ceremony was brought to a halt. The white vampire princess and I did battle, ending in my demise. With my next reincarnation already prepared, I transmigrated, leaving only my corpse behind. The woman departed and my body was brought to the holy sea. So we got another, I guess, story from Shiki. I find that kinda interesting, honestly, because it gives us like answers. Not fully though, right? But it gives us answers though to some of Roa's mysteries, I guess. So I hope we get more of that. So anyways, we are gonna continue this and do more of Tsukihime, A Piece of Blue Glass Moon, in the next one. So I'll just see you then. Bye bye.